If you've watched the Lion King movies, you've probably wondered about the mysterious gaps in the royal family tree. We know Simba and Nala had Kiara, and fans of the Lion Guard know about Kion. But there's another cub whose story is so heartbreaking that Disney has tried to keep it hidden. Today, we're going to uncover the tragic truth about Kopa, Simba's firstborn son, and the devastating event that changed the Pride Lands forever. You're about to learn from Disney's official The Lion King 6 New Adventures books, released right after the first movie's success. These weren't just random stories, they were authorized by Disney, giving us a glimpse into a chapter of Pride Land's history they never showed on screen.
Come, Nala. Simba?
Let's start with who Kopa was. In Nala's Dare, the second book of the series, we get our first detailed description of the young prince. The golden cub's tail twitched excitedly as he watched a battle-scarred lion demonstrate fighting techniques. This was Kopa, energetic, curious, and always eager to learn about being a future king. But Kopa wasn't just any prince. The books tell us he had his father's golden fur and his mother's wisdom. In A Tale of Two Brothers, we learn that every morning Kopa would wake up before dawn, just like his grandfather Mufasa used to do. He'd climbed the peak of Pride Rock with Simba, watching the sunrise together as they discussed what it meant to be a good king. One of Kopa's favorite activities was listening to Rafiki's stories in How True Zazu. Zrania. There's a touching scene where Kopa begs Rafiki to tell him about the great kings of the past. Rafiki's exact words were, "Ah, young prince, you remind me so much of your father, always asking questions, always seeking answers." Kopa's daily life was filled with adventure. He had formed the Bird Patrol with his best friends, Asante, the cheetah cub, and Pimbi, the hyrax. Together they would monitor the Pride Lands, pretending to be their version of what would later become Kion's Lion Guard. In Follow the Leader, we see Kopa practicing his leadership skills, with Zazu noting he has Mufasa's spirit in him. Speaking of Mufasa, the new movie gives us some clues about Kopa. When we see young Mufasa's journey, pay attention to the scene where he learns about legacy. The dialogue about "every king leaves a mark that time cannot erase" takes on a whole new meaning when you know about Kopa. But not everyone in the Pride Lands shared in Kopa's joy. Zira had been watching the young prince, whose role was much deeper than the movies showed. The books reveal that she was more than just Scar's follower. She was his chosen successor. In A Tale of Two Brothers, Scar had promised her, "Your cubs will rule Pride Rock, as it should have been." However, to understand how Zira's revenge unfolded, we must look at specific events from the books that Disney never showed us in the movies. In A Tale of Two Brothers, we learn that Zira had been carefully studying the Pride Lands' history, particularly the story of Mufasa's death. The books tell us something chilling about Zira's preparation. She would spend hours in the gorge where Scar had orchestrated Mufasa's death. In Nala's Dare, there's a scene where Nala warns Kopa about the gorge. "Your father has his reasons for keeping you away from there, little one." If only they had known what those words would come to mean. The day everything changed started like any other. According to Follow the Leader, Kopa was with his friends Asante and Pimbi, practicing what they called their morning patrol. The book quotes Kopa to his friends, "One day I'll be king of Pride Rock, just like my dad, and you'll all be my royal advisors." That morning, Zazu had given his usual report to Simba, mentioning something that seemed minor at the time. The books quote him, "Sire, there have been unusual movements among the outlying lionesses near the western border. We now know these were Zira's loyal followers. positioning themselves for what would come. As the day progressed, Kopa explored the western borders, the same area Zazu had mentioned. In How True Zazu, Swing, there's a heartbreaking moment where Simba tells Kopa, "Remember, son, a great king must be brave, but he must also be careful." These would be some of the last words between father and son. The books describe what happened next in chilling detail. Zira had chosen this day carefully. She knew the patrol patterns of Simba's lionesses when Zazu would be busy with his afternoon rounds, and most importantly, Kopa's habits. In Follow the Leader, Kopa's friend Asante recalls the last time she saw him. He was standing at the edge of the gorge, practicing his roar just like his father taught him. He said he wanted it to be as mighty as Mufasa's. The young prince had no idea he was being watched. What happened in those final moments is described in fragments throughout the books. Zira had positioned her loyal followers to prevent any help from arriving. The books quote her haunting words to Kopa, "Your father took everything from Scar. Now I'll take everything from him." According to Nala's Dare, Asante heard Kopa's roar. Not a practice roar, but a cry for help. It was too late by the time she and Pimby reached the Pride for help. The gorge, which had already claimed Mufasa's life, had now taken another member of the royal family. The books describe Simba's reaction in devastating detail. When he reached the gorge, his roar of grief echoed across the Pride lands. The quote reads, "It was a sound no one had heard since Mufasa's death, the cry of a king who had lost something irreplaceable." That night, according to A Tale of Two Brothers, Rafiki added a tragic marking to his ancient tree, a small line through the branch that represented Simba's lineage. The books quote him, "The great kings of the past will watch over him now." The impact on Simba and Nala was profound. In Nala's Dare, there's a heart-wrenching scene where Nala finds Kopa's favorite sleeping spot empty. The quote reads, "The queen stood silently, remembering how her son would always wait there for the first star to appear, asking her if it was his grandfather Mufasa watching over him." This tragedy explains one of the most significant changes in Simba's character. When Kiara was born, the books tell us Simba solemnly said, "No harm will ever come to you, my daughter. I promise." Now we understand why he becomes so overprotective in The Lion King 2. He's not just being cautious, he's a father traumatized by an unimaginable loss. And here's something that connects directly to the new Mufasa movie. Remember that scene in the trailer where young Mufasa talks about the weight of legacy? In Follow the Leader, Kopa has a similar conversation with Simba saying, "Dad, did great-grandpa and grandpa Mufasa watch over you too?" This dialogue hits differently when you realize it's foreshadowing Kopa's fate. The new Mufasa movie is acknowledging these deeper storylines. When we see the scene where Mufasa learns about protecting his family, listen carefully to the background dialogue. There's a line about some stories being too painful to tell, a possible reference to why Kopa's story was never shown on screen. So what do you think about Kopa and his story? Tragic, isn't it? Let us know in the comments, and see you in the next video.